Welp, it looks like the interim tag has finally been taken off Tim, as now he makes his official debut on a crossover episode between the Insider and Here's Why You're Wrong. And Tim, I think we can officially move you from friend of the podcast to member of the podcast. Welcome in. Welcome to the eMLB community podcast group as a whole officially now. And welcome to the Here's Why You're Wrong and eMLB Insiders crossover, better known as the Broadcast Buddies.
Yeah, let's go.
You're actually going to put that out there. Okay.
Let's get
I'm
it
gonna
out
put
there.
it out there. I'm gonna put it out there. It's good. I like it. I dig it. And you know what? It's been a few weeks, I think, at this point since we recorded an episode all together. But ladies and gentlemen, it's the most wonderful time of the year. I'm not just saying that because we're recording this 4 days before Christmas. I'm saying that because it's time for the eMLB playoffs. And you know what? Playoffs, we are talking about playoffs this time.
And we might actually have the most unbiased recording ever because only one of us is in the playoffs.
It's the most interesting.
I still had a better
time
record
we've
than you,
ever
Brenden.
All right, that's whatever. You're not in the playoffs.
had. Yikes. Eek. Well, this is going to be a fun episode. So what we're going to do, we're going to preview the wild card. Then, based on our wild card winners, it'll help us preview our division series. And then we'll go ahead and give you our power rankings for all 10 playoff teams, where each one of the 10 playoff teams sit in our power rankings. Let's start with this. Both of the game 163s were interesting. I went 1 for 2 in my predictions of them. I had the Mariners winning, but I did have the Cardinals winning in my other one. This sets up two very good games.
You weren't far off.
No,
It was a great game between the Cardinals and Dodgers. I honestly did not expect us to do anything in the ninth inning. Thank goodness Benny made it interesting. But
Yeah,
hats off to Chris and the Dodgers. That was a really great game. Well worth watching a game 163.
and
You know
now
what? I'm disappointed that you did not win because I dropped a great quote in the comments, and it would have held on and gained relevance if you managed to win the game. I said we can start calling Benny the asteroid because he's a dinosaur killer.
Hey,
Yeah, well,
but
maybe-
you know
maybe
what?
next year.
That could have
Maybe
stuck.
next year.
That could have stuck.
Maybe
But
next year.
You know what? This sets up two West wildcard games, two very good Old West style shootouts. You've got on the American League side, you got the hot hitting Halos, who probably should be in the divisional round no matter what, but a stupid wild card. And you know what? It is what it is, but that's the reason why we play this game. They go up against the Mariners, who had to win a game 163 against the Boston Red Sox to get in here, up against the three-headed pitching monster in San Francisco, going against a team that Brenden in a Here's Why You're Wrong episode said, don't let them get hot, in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Two great West matchups. Tim, we're going to start with you. We'll start in the American League. We're not going to give predictions right away here. Give me a little preview of this matchup and what are we expecting from these teams who have played a lot against each other, have seen a lot of each other. Angels are coming into this one rested, however.
Yeah, they are. And I was looking at both pitchers that are going, Otani and Manrique. Neither one of them have been lights out against the other, and kind of makes me think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, which kind of matches their modus operandi. Louis Ramos feels like he's going to be the big difference in this game for me. I think it's going to be like last night's game. A lot of runs scored, close to the end, but I think the Angels pull it out.
I can see where you're coming from with that. Andrew, do you have any idea in this AL matchup? I know you guys don't study the AL as much. That's why I'm saving me and Brenden for the second half of this one.
I mean, for me, it's the records may be quite a distance apart with LA hitting 100 wins and Seattle at 87, but if you look at their head-to-head matchup, they were 10. Like I think LA won 10 out of the 19 games against them.
Correct, sir.
And that just shows that Seattle matches up well with LA to be able to hold on and make it such an even series between them this season. I think this is going to be very similar to the Cardinals Dodgers game that we just saw in 163. I think it's going to be a back and forth battle, and it may even go extras. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. I do think the Angels have more talent, so I'm thinking that the Angels will win, but with a 1-game wild card, anything can happen, and I think it's going to be a great game despite the 13-game difference in their records.
Brenden, your take.
This game is strength on strength. The Angels have field one of the better offenses and a weak pitching staff, and the Mariners field one of the better pitching staffs and a fairly weak offense. I mean, obviously,
I was going to say, that's kind of funny based on what we thought the Mariners were going to be at the start of the year. We thought they had a lot of firepower.
Everyone always expects the Mariners to be this great hitting team, and then they're not terrible. They're fourth in slugging, but only 7th in OPS and 12th in average and 11th in on base. So it's clear it's just home runs.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you have a lineup with Pedro Serrano and Eric the Eradicator Kelly, that's kind of what you expect to see.
And not to mention Matt Olson, the three-headed monster in the middle of that lineup this year.
There is, when looking between a great pitching staff and a great offense, who do you pick? And I do pick the better pitching staff for a 1 game, just no matter what they're playing. I do think the Mariners are going to upset them, which is really unfortunate for the Angels because I think the Angels would win even a 3-game series. But the Mariners just need that one right now. I think the Mariners can get it.
You see,
better
I'm on the
staff
side.
Didn't help the Cardinals.
I'm on the side of I'm on the side where Andrew sits here. I think the Halos come into this with a fresh bullpen and a really good lineup that I don't know that the M's can really handle what the Halos are going to throw at them. Ohtani may not have been the lights out we expect him. He didn't have a bad year, though, by any stretch of the imagination. And he is good when it comes down to it in the clutch. And that's something you cannot teach. I think the Halos win this one. I think it's a close game. But I think the Halos squeak it out over the M's. I'm going to say, giving a score prediction, I'm going to say 5-3 the Halos win.
I think that basically 500 against them over the year does not tell me that the Angels can handle the M's. I think that these two teams are very evenly matched. 3-2 M's.
Andrew?
6-5 LA.
I say 7-6 LA. Manrique hasn't made it out of the 5th inning in either start against the Angels, and he's been shelled in both. So I think that continues.
Now he's listed as the starter. Do we have any word if he's going to be the official guy?
The couple of guys beneath him are not fully rested, so I'm kind of thinking it is him.
But no word from the end camp yet.
No.
Okay.
No official word anyway.
No official word from the M's camp. Let's take a look over on the NL side where the Giants will be taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Dodgers winning a game 163 over your Cardinals, Andrew.
Yep.
But the Giants basically have their pick of the litter of which starter they want to send out on the mound. And for me, at least, in this NL side, while the Dodgers are hot and have a really good offense, I am going to lean pitching on this side and go with the Giants. Pitching is just that much better, and their bullpen is very good in the Giants. If Candela or Johnson or whoever you throw out on the mound can give you 6 even of 2-run baseball, you're going to give yourself a chance to win because this Giants offense isn't nothing to slouch at either.
Yeah, and then Sean Paxler did announce in the stream that Jandy will be the starter for the wild card game.
So we do have word that it is Jandy tossing.
And I am agreeing with you, Aiden, on this one. The Dodgers do have a good offense. They led the National League in home runs this year, and you saw that was the reason why they beat my Cardinals. They literally scored all of their runs off of home runs. So they rely on the home run ball to win ball games, and I think Jandy will do a better job of keeping the ball in the ballpark than the Cardinals pitching staff.
Also, the fact that this game is in San Francisco, too, helps the Giants rather than
I
the
don't
Dodgers.
know that Jandy can keep the Dodgers in check. I don't doubt that. Who comes after Jandy keep the Dodgers in the check? The Dodgers need an inning to completely flip the game on its head. This team is the most interesting team for me in the playoffs this year because performance-wise, not by talent. By talent, they're one of the better teams in the league. But performance-wise, they are probably the most inconsistent team in the playoffs. They have had really low lows, really high highs. You have no idea what you're going to get with them when they come out game to game.
It's the wild card.
It is the wild card. That's smooth right there. I love it. I've watching that game of the night between the Dodgers and the Giants shows me that the Dodgers have the ability to just come out and thump them. I think that the Dodgers have the ability to come out and thump the Giants. I think the Dodgers are going to win. I think it's not going to be close. I think it'll be close through 7 innings, and then they will have an 8th or 9th inning where they put 5 up on the board and run away.
So you think it's a matter of running the pitch count up on Jandy and getting to the bullpen?
Yep.
It's a strategy.
I'm going to take 4-2 Giants win over the Dodgers.
6-1. Dodgers win over Giants.
3-2 Giants.
Do we know who's pitching for the Giants?
Jandy.
Or sorry, not Giants, Dodgers. Sorry, I flipped it.
Well, let's take a look here. Who's rested?
Because you could argue that it might.
It could be
could
Snell.
Blake Snell. Snell is
probably
listed.
Ricos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricos.
I would say
if it is
he's had the better
Ricos,
season.
He's had the better season, but he's done worse in high leverage situations. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple of those.
I also think the lefty
in
and
this game.
Snell might be a better matchup against
Ricos
the
is also a
Giants.
lefty.
They're both lefties.
They're both lefties. Sorry, I forget
Yeah.
Ricos is a lefty. I think I think in my head of Ricardo Rincon from Moneyball.
Also,
who's
Luke
a
Wander will
right-handed
be
pitcher.
rested in time for the game if they want to go with him.
Ooh.
They'll have 3 options.
I think you got to go
I
with
don't-
one of the 2 lefties, and I trust Snell more. But
Oh, yeah.
I don't get paid to make that decision yet.
So my prediction, this is gonna be my bold prediction, and all credit to Chris and his performance against me in the game 163. This is not because I'm bitter. That was a great game. Kudos to him. But I'm gonna predict that the Giants win 4-0 on a Jandy Ronson shutout performance, 9 inning complete game.
Maybe he throws 120 pitches again.
Yeah, I think I don't think Sean, I don't know anymore. I don't think he's scared to run the pitch count up on Jandy because he trusts Jandy more than the bullpen.
Yeah.
That's fair.
There's a reason he did that, where he had him, pitch the complete game or near complete game. I can't remember, with like 120 pitches. It's because he wanted to see if he could go that long.
Yep.
And he could.
And he's got the stamina to do so. And I think even if he allows like 2 or 3 runs, that he might go the complete game just to avoid getting to that bullpen.
That's fair.
To avoid that breakout inning that you were predicting.
I mean, if you get 8 innings and then give it to Cunel at the end, you'd be okay as well. Sub 2 ERA this season. I think at one point it was sub 1 with the Giants. He's had a hell of a year.
And this is not a Giants bullpen, by the way, to slouch at. I think if it was any other starter besides Stronson, I would have said that inning could come at any point in time.
Correct.
Yeah.
This Dodgers team could strike on anyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Big going on.
all right. Yeah, sorry.
I think Jandy handcuffs him. I think the Dodgers have a little bit of a hangover from having to go extra innings against the Cardinals, and they used all their firepower hitting those home runs in the rain in St. Louis. In a pitcher's ballpark with the wind blowing in. I don't know how they hit that many home runs, but
couldn't pop the champagne until
You're not
late
bitter.
that night.
no.
Then
I'm not
having
bitter.
to travel to the
I'm
West
really
Coast.
not, actually.
I know.
All right. So that sets up each of our own individual division round matchups. We'll start with the one in the American League that is known already. The O's going up against the Cleveland Indians. This one for me is really interesting, and I said this in an article or read it in an article by Pef Jason of ESPN. But his hot take was that the O's are going to score the most runs in the division series. And I think that remains true. I don't think this Cleveland team is good. I think they're lucky to get into the playoffs simply because the fact they play in a weak division. It'll show in my power rankings of where I have them. And for me, this series isn't even close. I think maybe Cleveland squeaks out one. So I'm going to say Baltimore in 4, but I can see a Baltimore sweep of multiple of all 3 or 4 games where Baltimore scores double-digit runs.
My heart.
I don't know if I honestly don't think that the Orioles have that offense in them. It's not a bad offense by any means, but multiple games with double-digit runs when you're going up against a really decent pitching staff headlined by potential Rookie of the Year candidate Martin Bradford. I'm looking forward to the pitching matchup between Ethan Knight and Martin Bradford. I'm assuming that's going to be the game 1 starting line. That is going to be one of the better pitching matchups of the division series. But I agree with you that I think the Orioles have the edge in this series, but I don't think it's going to be as lopsided as you're saying, Aiden. I think these teams do match up well. I do think the Indians definitely made a lot of great strides this year, making it to the division championship of the AL Central. But as we've talked about before, the AL Central, the most competitive division in baseball, that's within themselves. It's not really when you go outside of their division, they're kind of around 500. They don't perform too well against everyone else. So I think the Orioles win this in 4 games. I do think Cleveland will grab a game, maybe even send it to a game 5. But I think the Orioles are just a little bit better talent-wise, and I don't think if they can make it to a game 5 and have Bradford pitch a second game, that's going to be their best bet to win. It's either they win in 5 or they're going to lose the series because you can't have Bradford pitch every game.
The series I see going 2
Hold on,
ways.
Brenden. Let's get Tim first before we get the Homer opinion.
That's fair.
I'm leaning towards where Andrew is saying. I think Baltimore is the favorite, the clear favorite. But to your point, I think the Bradford game in game 1 is going to be a key as to whether or not it's a sweep. Because I think it's their best chance to win, their best chance to get some momentum. What I don't see with Cleveland is how they're going to score runs as consistently as Baltimore can. They don't have to score 7, 8, or 9. 5 or 6 can do it. I still don't see how that's going to happen.
My thing is too with this Baltimore team as well. They're the reigning AL pennant winners. Like we forget this. A lot of that team has postseason experience, and they're reigning AL pennant winners.
Yes, but when you compare the roster of the Orioles this year to the roster of the Orioles last year, they definitely took a step backwards, losing Jim Reed for the season. You lost the American League MVP. And even the performance of Ethan Knight this year I think it's his worst season statistically, if I remember.
It's correctly. Not his worst season statistically. It's his worst season since he was just figuring himself out in the league.
Yeah,
okay.
He had a very down year, which is unfortunate when you factor in the fact that you did not have Jim Reed all year, and
right.
I think the Orioles get out of the series, but I don't think they're going to make it further than that. I think they're no disrespect to the Indians because they got here. I think the matchup for the Orioles is in their best favor because if you match them up against any of the other teams in the American League, I don't think they would have won a 5-game series.
They only have to face one of the AL West teams, which is huge.
Ethan Knight got clobbered hard at the end of the year, which rose his ERA to 4.78. It was 4.13 3 starts before the end of the 3 starts before the end of the year. I see things going in one of 2 directions. Either we play well in game 1 and we win in a sweep, or we lose game 1 with Knight getting hammered again, and Cleveland takes it in 5. Those are the only 2 options I see in my mind. The roster, by and large, is the same from last year's. Like, there's obviously some key differences, some key missing players. I think the postseason experience really helps us, but we've been so inconsistent, and there's not a team in the league who's going into the playoffs on more of a downslide than we are. We limped into the postseason. We absolutely.
Mariners may have that for you.
The
'Cause they got
Mariners
swept
did
by
not
the
limp
A's.
into the postseason. The Mariners were a middling team who clawed their way in.
They got swept by the A's in the last week of the season, the worst team in the league.
That's true. That's absolutely true. We played terrible for the last 3 weeks. We were god awful.
You got lucky by taking 2 or 3 from Tampa.
At the very end, yes. I don't disagree with that at all.
I was so rooting for like a 3-way tie in the AL East.
I was so rooting for it.
For the first time
Chaos.
ever, we have a 3-way tie, and it's me jumping
no.
through the curtain like in
So
Cars.
my question is, how would that chaos have worked for the game 163 in the wild card?
Actually,
if I would have taken one of those from Brenden and it would have been me, Boston, and Seattle, how would that have worked?
I don't even know, and I don't even want to think about the math. I do want to go back to my analogy real quick. It actually would have been Aiden who jumps through first, going, yes!
That's true. Because he was the one coming from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's that what's that meme? It's like from the Muppets or whatever, where he's got the dark hood up and he just sneaks up behind.
Oh,
You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. I do. I think the Indians are the right team to face. The Indians are. We went 6-1 against them this year. We can beat Sadier's team. I think if we can get right, I think if we have a get right series, I think we play well. We take care of business like we're supposed to. I think we can handle whoever we face in the next series. Because Houston is a team we match up really well against.
And I think there are a couple of players in your lineup who can take over a game and also a series
Buster
pretty much
Bluth,
by
maybe.
themselves. Yep. Bluth, Spence.
Don't discount Khalili.
No.
He's not a superstar
Some-
by any stretch, but he's a
not
very
Summers.
good role player. eMLB regular.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Vaughn.
Zimmers.
Will Smith had a very good year after the re-rate.
Whereas I think with Cleveland, it's like, okay, Judge hits a homer.
And Erickson.
And then
Erickson
Erickson
might be my favorite pickup by anyone this year. Just, picking him off of Milwaukee and having him be a 35 home run player.
40.
He hit 40? I thought.
Yep.
Okay, was it 35 with Cleveland?
It was 37 with Cleveland.
Cool. So I'm wrong. Wow.
Brenden wrong? Wow. That never happens.
No,
I will say I agree with that. I actually was trying to get Erickson from Sadier at the trade deadline because I wanted some more offensive firepower, and I thought that was like an underrated move, but Sadier was like, no, I'm riding this one out. I believe in him. I think he's going to keep it up, and he ended the season very strong with a 40 home run season.
I love Erickson. I think that right there, like I mean it. That was probably my favorite thing that anyone did this year.
But can you trust the offense outside of Erickson, Lindor, and Judge? That's the question.
That's the question mark. But if you pair it with good pitching,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Let's go to the second version of the shootout in the West, this time across 5 games. Astros will take on the winner of the wild card game. I think me, Andrew, and Tim all have
LA.
No, we had San Francisco.
No.
American League.
American League.
Oh, sorry. Wrong LA.
Yeah, I'm the one to center in both.
It's true. He's going for the 2 underdogs.
All right. So I'll start this one off. This is going to be a really good series. I'm going to take the upset. I'm going to take the Halos in 5 over the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's really that much of an upset, but
yeah.
you know what? I have enjoyed watching them battle it out all year. And if the Angels do make it there, I think that is a very real possibility. I don't have the Angels making it there. I have the Mariners making it there. And I have a little recreation of what happened in real life happening. I think the Astros sweep.
That's true. That's
I
true.
think the Astros would sweep the Mariners in a 3-game series. And I honestly, while I would like to envision the Angels winning it, I think that the Astros would beat whoever they play.
I'm going to. The Astros had a 3-game lead going into the last week of the season of the division. They could have easily coasted and just said, we just need to win a couple games, get ready for the playoffs. No, they rattled off 6 straight wins to end the season and make sure that the Angels had no chance, and also put the Red Sox in the position that they were in and knock them out of the playoffs. They are not taking any prisoners, although they do have to face the second best team in the American League in the LA Angels, in my predictions anyway. And I think it's going 5. I think the Astros take it, and I am looking forward to next year when that series would be a championship series instead of a division series.
It could be, yeah, depending on the seeding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, based on the seeding that we would have had, if the Angels win in their wild card round, they would be the top seed going to play the lower seed of the division round. They wouldn't play the Astros at all.
Looking at it, by the way, the Astros had an 11-8 record against the Angels this year.
Another fairly even record.
So, Tim, you're the last one with the Halos facing off against the Astros. What is this series speaking to you?
I think every game is close. I think it goes 5. And I wish I had Brendan's coin back.
He did
Cost
return
me
it
so
overnight.
much to ship that thing, man. God.
That's what you get for overnight shipping.
Yeah, I think it's Houston. I think their starting pitching is a little better.
And the only one riding with the Halos.
I mean, it's really hard to pick against the team with the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
But tell that to the Mariners in real life.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brenden.
It doesn't matter.
That's true.
So let's now head over to the National League. We'll start with the series we know. The Chicago Cubbies facing off against your NL East champion, the aggressive mediocrity finally making playoff Philadelphia Phillies.
Can we really call them mediocre anymore?
I want to go first here. They're not aggressively mediocre anymore. They're just aggressive.
Yeah.
And you know what? Phillies winning 4.
You know what? The Phillies have the fun differential, spelled with a PH.
hey, both F's, PH and diff, PHs. The fun and the PH, yeah, both PHs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Tim, what you got?
I think the Cubs win this. I think this goes the distance.
Really?
And
it's a 5-game?
Yes. And I just think their offense is just going to be too much for Philly to overcome 3 times. I don't see. I see them scoring a lot of runs. So
I
think it's the Cubs.
I see a world where my prediction comes true, where the Phillies do win in 4 games and they have a negative run differential. I think
the one game they lose, they get blown out.
They lose the game 2-14, and then win 3 close ones.
Brendan, that just hurt me that you put the losing score before the higher score. That just hurt my soul. That just you said 2-14, not 14.
Yeah, the Phillies lose a game 2-14. Not the Cubs win a game 14-2.
No, he's talking about the fact that you put the losing score. You said 2-14 instead of 14-2.
Yeah, but I said the Phillies lose the game. The Phillies don't lose a game 14-2. They lose a game 2-14.
No, you lose a game 14-2.
Okay,
I'm telling you how it is,
All
Rob.
right, I'll take the next one. While the Phillies have fun and both of Phillies' wins come on Bobby Orr walk-offs, it won't be enough to overtake Danny Smith Jr. and the Chicago Cubs. We'll be singing "Go Cubs Go" outside of Wrigley after Game 5.
All right, so this is the whole head versus heart thing for me. My head is saying that the Phillies pitching staff is not going to hold up against the Cubs offense. My heart is saying I want that fun differential. I want to see the Phillies move on to the next round, like we saw the real life Phillies come from the last seed in the wild card through to the World Series. I don't think the Phillies are going to make the World Series, but at least in the first round, I want to see them at least do something crazy and fun in this division series. And the best thing to do would be to beat the Cubs in 5, which is what I'm going to predict. I don't think it's actually what's going to happen. I do believe the Cubs are actually going to win, but my official prediction is Phillies in 5.
Don't get me wrong. I want Philly to win. Do not get me wrong. I want the fun differential to keep on going. I just don't see it happening.
I'm just looking at the Phillies lineup specifically. Like we've talked about how the Cubs kind of have like a subpar pitching staff, but I've pointed out the past few podcasts that it's not really their pitching staff that's the issue. It's their defense outside of Danny Smith Jr. and their shortstop. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But I just don't think the Phillies offense could even take advantage of the weak defense. I think the Phillies offense is it might even be weaker than Cleveland's offense, in my opinion. It's just outside of just a couple players. Like Bryce Harper had a great year. Trevor Story had a pretty good year at the plate, but I don't know. I just don't think that they have the offense to match. Basically, I think that the Phillies pitching staff will do a decent job of containing the Cubs offense, but you have to think that the Phillies are going to need to find runs to score somewhere, and I don't think they'll be able to keep up, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm still predicting the Phillies to win. I just believe the Cubs are going to win.
I stand by what I think and what I feel.
Fair enough.
Quick break in between the series. In real life, James McCann just traded from the New York Mets to the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
Really?
Huh?
What? Well, they're cutting
I mean,
payroll.
it makes sense for the Mets.
It doesn't make
Because
sense for Baltimore, is where.
Yeah.
Be the number
I'm
2.
And be the DH?
I don't know. That's real life sports. We don't care about that here at eMLB.
Sorry, I just passing along.
Yeah, this collection of guys doesn't care about real life sports anymore.
No,
I don't.
Not at all.
I don't.
Not at all.
Not at all. Nothing. Not a care in the world.
Yeah.
All right. Second series. The NL Padres taking on the winner of the wild card game. Once again, 3 of us with the Giants. Brenden, the dissenter, with the Dodgers. Brenden, since you're the dissenter, you get to start us.
I'm always the dissenter here. The only one to pick the Phillies, the only one to pick the Mariners, and now I'm the only one to pick the Dodgers.
Hey, Andrew
I
picked
picked
the
the
Phillies.
Phillies.
Oh, I thought you said. Oh, okay. You said.
No, I said I'm picking the Phillies, but I fully expect the Cubs to win.
Okay, I got you. Never mind. I'm not the lone
You
dissenter.
picked them on the protest.
Yeah. I picked them because they're my division rival, and I don't like them winning the NL Central every year.
That's fair.
No longer existing.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't get the last one. They had to get the last 2.
So,
Anyway.
with this NLDS, I don't believe that there's a better team in the league than the Padres right now, and that includes the Astros. I think the Padres are the most well-balanced team in the league. This team's got.
Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, I've been saying that for the past couple Insider episodes.
Yeah. I think that this team is going to coast through the division series, and they're going to 3-1 against the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers. I like them to beat the Giants, but I don't think that this team is cut out to win a series. I think they're going to win a game, and they'll be close on another, but then not have enough to get it done for the whole series.
Andrew, what you got?
I think that of the teams in the National League, the Giants probably match up with the Padres the best. I think this is going to be another 5-game series. I think I predicted a 5-game series for all of them, honestly. But
You just don't want the baseball to stop.
I love playoff baseball, and this time I don't have to stress about it because I'm not playing in it, so I can just enjoy it. But it's really hard to go against a Giants pitching staff that is headlined by Jandy Ronson, Ethan Candela, and even Haxley as a number 3. But I do believe the Padres are one of 2 or 3 offenses in the league that can overcome that. They have a great trio of hitters in the 2 Kims and Fernando Tatis. You also have Franmil Reyes as well. They have a very high-powered offense. And while the Padres may not have the top-line starters that the Giants have, they still have one of the better pitching staffs as well. And I think it's still going to go 5. I think they're going to have to take 2 games from a combination of either a Jandy Ronson game or an Ethan Candela game. And I think they'll be able to do that.
The Padres are one of those teams that embody the phrase "greater than the sum of their parts."
Mm-hmm.
As a unit, this pitching staff is awesome. No individual guy on there is overpowering, but they just all pitch very, very well.
Yes, agreed.
I'll go next here. This is going to be probably the most interesting series out of all of the series in the wild card or not in the wild card, I should say, in the division round this year. I think it'll be close. I think the Padres will squeak it out. And as Pef Jackson said, Steve Kim is everything I want to be when I grow up, and what he's done in San Diego. I think that was my favorite line from that article. Tim, your stomping grounds. What are you saying?
Having been slaughtered by both of these teams on numerous occasions in the second half, the Giants really match up very well against San Diego. They won 13 out of 19 against them during the regular season. I know it's the playoffs, and all that goes out the window. What the hell? Giants in 5.
Nice.
You love it.
Continuing the pattern of dissenting, by the way, I did not pick a single 5-game series.
I picked all 5-game series. Go ahead. Jandy, having to face Jandy twice is a problem. And then when Candela and Hoxie, no.
I agree with that.
So that
can I make one more point before you say that? There is in the National League, the Giants allowed the second most runs. The Padres allowed the first fewest runs. Sorry, second fewest runs. The Padres allowed the first fewest runs. So even with that high-powered pitching staff, the Padres were still top to bottom allowed fewer runs across the entire season than the Giants did. Another point for the Padres there.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So now with our ideas of what's going to happen in this series set, let's move on to everyone's favorite part of the episode, the mascots being loud. No, I'm kidding. Let's move on to the power rankings. Andrew, would you do the honors, please?
Yep, there we go.
Dun, da, da, da. So we've got 10 through 1 courtesy.
Nope, that won't work.
No,
there we go. Sorry. I was trying something. Didn't work. Move on.
Hey, and stay tuned for everyone's favorite segment that will be coming last in this episode.
Uh-oh.
It's the hot seat. Everyone knows it.
Everyone
loves it.
Yep.
It happens every episode. You should be used to it by now.
Can we also point out that for the first time probably ever, I'm the least prepared for this segment?
Is it wrong
Every-
that makes me really happy?
No, because you're usually not prepared.
True.
I
Actually,
mean,
Brennan,
he's
hold
got
on.
no cards.
No, Brennan can tell you I have been prepared a lot more as of recent.
Oh yeah, you had to come up with some stats out of your butt for the AL MVP conversation.
Oh, and thank you, Aiden, for helping me with that, because you single-handedly convinced me to vote for Mike Trout with your arguments for Rafi Devers. The dollar per WAR was awesome.
Hey, I had to pull.
That's the stat I was referring to, by the way.
Look, and I will tell you guys the same thing, and I will say it on this episode as well. I don't care where it goes. It was pre-episode. Brennan goes, I was defending. I was at work when the Twitch chat was going, and Brennan goes, yeah, I was defending Trout, so you have Devers.
I mean, like, I can't back
Trout.
down from that. Like, I already publicly came out in one way or the other. He hadn't yet, so he had to take the contrarian opinion.
Of course.
So in other words, he had to prepare because he wouldn't have been able to defend him unless he did prepare.
Yes,
exactly.
Your high school debate coach, I'm sure, was very proud of you.
He took the negative. I took the affirmative.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So just before we launch intros, just so everyone knows how we're gonna do this on the graphic you see, from left to right, we'll do from top to bottom on the camera. So it'll go from left to right: Aiden, Brenden, Tim, myself.
All right. Then I guess I'll kick it off with my number 10. My number 10 is going to be the Seattle Mariners.
All right. Brenden?
Ditto.
Do we have enough Seattle Mariners?
I have four logos
Okay.
4 logos for each team on here. Yep.
Okay.
Tim?
Cleveland Indians.
And I agree with Tim. Cleveland Indians.
Now, are we going to do
All right,
all of our
discuss.
rankings and then talk
No.
about them, or do you want to talk about each level?
We're going to discuss at each level. We just didn't want to do the whole Aiden talks about the Mariners for 10 minutes, then Brenden talks about the Mariners for 10 minutes. Yeah. So this hopefully will at least curtail our discussion time a little bit.
Fair.
But
The reason
Sure.
I think Brendan and I are probably similar in putting the M's here. Just sort of the weakest link of the postseason. Not saying they're a bad team. I just think they have the most flaws out of any team coming into the postseason, at least in my head.
Ditto.
I find it interesting that Brenden put the Mariners at number 10, considering that he had the Mariners winning the wild card game.
I don't view the power rankings as a prediction of what will happen. I view the power rankings as a statement on how I view things right now. This is how I look at every single team going into it right now. 10 can beat 1. 10 can beat 1, and I can think 10 will beat 1. But the Mariners are coming in as the 10th best team in the playoffs right now.
I mean, it was close for me. I just think that it was more like who's had the better season, and I think as a team, the Mariners had a better season than the Indians, which is why I've got the Indians here at 10. It's just giving me flashbacks to last year where you had the Kansas City Royals as the AL Central champions, and they just were overmatched in their one matchup. Now, I do think the Indians have a matchup better with the Orioles than the
No
Royals
matter what,
with
the Indians are not the Royals of last year.
Yes, I
Like,
think they have a better chance. They have a better chance.
Roster. This is an extremely talented roster and only getting better.
I see what you did
but
there.
they
Extremely talented.
But they don't. I don't think they have the depth that you need on the roster, and I think the Mariners have a little bit more depth than the Indians do. I think the Indians have a really good top line, like with their top hitters and their top pitchers. But after that, you don't have a very promising supporting cast. But that will only get better in time. This is the Indians' first step here. I think the Indians will be better next year. I think they will take the offseason and improve their roster. But and they actually have quite a few good prospects that are going to be coming up too. I just think right now they just don't have the depth that the other teams in the playoffs do.
Yeah, and I see them to the point you made. A couple of good hitters, a couple of good pitchers. They really struggle on defense. All of that together makes them just a little bit weaker than Seattle, in my mind. And so that's why I went with him 10 plus. Been kind of an unknown commodity, and I mean, as much as I love the AL Central, RIP, it was competitive because they beat up on each other. As soon as we got outside of the AL Central, I think it really the quality overall started to show, including Cleveland. So
I can agree with that. All right, let's move to our number 9s next, I believe. At number 9,
You want to go reverse? You want to go reverse
Yeah,
order?
let's go reverse. We'll go reverse.
I mean, I kind of said it was barely above. I've got the Mariners at number 9.
Wait,
as do I.
Can you like make sure that they like filter over to the?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, I didn't know if it could do that. Baltimore.
I got Cleveland. Sorry, I was a little stunned by Brenden here.
No, I just think he's trying to stay humble and set himself up for that when he does keep going in the playoffs. He's like, "Oh, I thought I was one of the worst teams."
Okay, but can I quickly rewind the conversation to how I view power rankings? It's a statement on how you are right now, and this. I mean it. The Orioles were putrid the last couple weeks of the season. We are one of the worst teams in the league the last couple weeks of the season. Now, are we one of the worst teams in the league overall? No. But we were bad. And so, like at the end of September.
Were you getting swept by the Oakland Athletics bad?
As the Mariners did? We were getting pummeled by the Yankees and Blue Jays bad.
That's
and there
not as bad, but not as bad, but comparable.
And I did put the Mariners below us. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I guess that was more of a statement of why I didn't put the Mariners above the Orioles as opposed to where you put the Orioles.
That's fair. So I feel like we talked about the Indians and the Mariners. All of us have at a fair point. Let's move to number 8. Brenden, start us here.
I'm going Indians.
Got to find the one red C in the
Timothy?
sea of logos.
I picked Baltimore.
Anjou.
Baltimore as well.
I have the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Now, I feel like we've hashed over the Indians, and I hashed over the Orioles pretty well for this spot. I don't know if they have anything they want to add. But I'm really interested about the Dodgers here.
Go ahead, Aiden. Defend yourself.
Okay. Yes, they're a hot team. But in my opinion, they're not a team to me that feels as complete as some of the other teams above them. I also, I'm a little different from Brenden. I don't do my power rankings based on starting the play. If I was taking this power rankings and evolving it over the season, I'll do it based on performance. But this is my baseline of where each team is going into the postseason. And for me, the Dodgers just lack something for me, and I don't know what. I don't know what. Not that I don't know what. Sorry, that came out wrong.
I was just saying I could answer the question for you. They lack consistency.
They lack consistency, and that's why they're down here for me. And I think when you look at some of the teams above them, they may not have as good of a roster, but they're more consistent and they've put it all together for longer periods of time. I think the Dodgers benefit from the fact they got hot late.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my reason for putting the Orioles where I did was simply they don't have the depth of pitching that they had a year ago. And even their first 2 starters are like, oh, God, can we score enough to win? So that's why I put them here at 8.
Yeah, I had them at 8 because kind of like what Brenden was saying, you guys struggled down the stretch. Did you had the benefit of Boston also imploding on the last week of the season as well? If it wasn't for that, it would have been a lot closer. So I couldn't really put you higher than 8th as a result.
Yeah, and I put myself at 9, so I completely agree with y'all's reasoning.
Yeah. All right, let's move to.
I was about to say, Aiden, when will we see the Orioles on yours? Is it here at number 7?
It is not here at number 7.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my
well,
It's not.
I'm feeling the love.
Christmas.
How much did Brenden pay you for Christmas this year?
More, I wish.
Well,
No,
all I'm saying is I plan on being in Florida over Valentine's Day, and it's not to see my girlfriend.
Tim's
Nope,
choked up.
I'm not
over
commenting.
I'm not
commenting.
crying. I'm not crying. I just have allergies.
there.
Where's the sexy play of the day music when you need it? I might add that in post.
Please do.
Please do.
Yes,
So,
Get
please.
it's worth the demonetization risk.
Tim, you want to kick us off here at 7?
I put the Dodgers at 7.
Andrew?
I finally disagree with Tim. I put the Phillies at 7.
I as well have the Phillies at 7.
Giants.
What?
Whoa! Brendan, you got some splaining to do here.
I know. I got some splaining to do.
Aiden, you will later once we finally see the orange and black on your screen.
So the Giants come in outside of the Orioles. The Giants are the worst performer over the last month of the season. Month plus, counting the October games. They were just barely over 500, or actually just barely under 500 one game. I think that this is a team that is coming into the playoffs in a much weaker position than they wanted to be. I think this is a team coming into the playoffs with an amazing pitching staff. True. I just don't think that they have the hitting to get it done, and they don't have much momentum coming in. Doing playoff power rankings is always fun because any team could be ranked, moved up or down because it's the playoffs. These are the teams that make it to the end of the season. And so it's hard to put a team down low who everyone likes over the year. But when you start looking at all the teams available, you have to move someone down. And for me, it's just the Giants. The Giants it's the bottom 3 and then moving up for me.
I mean, for me, it was moving the Phillies down just because I think I still don't understand how they ended up winning 92 games when you're looking at their stats.
It's the fun differential.
Yes, I know it's the fun differential, but I'm looking at the stats. And the fun differential doesn't exist in OOTP. So until it does, I can't look at that stat. But the Phillies here, I want them to do something in the playoffs. I don't want them to just roll over against the Cubs. And I know they won't roll over. I just don't want them to get destroyed by the Cubs. But in terms of their roster, I like I said, I don't understand how they ended up winning 92 games. And they didn't even have to win 92 games. They could have won 81 games. They could have been 500 and they would have won their division. And I just think that as a result, they're the 7th best team going into the playoffs. And Brenden, I agree with all what you said for the Giants. I just don't think that it brings the Giants down this low in the rankings.
That's fair.
Andrew, ditto. I'll pull a line from Brennan.
And for me, the Dodgers are here. The inconsistency. They can't win on the road. And they're in the wild card. So they're never going to have home field advantage. So, yeah, this is where they are for me.
Totally valid.
All right, number 6. Who wants to start us off here?
This is where I have the Phillies.
Same.
Where's the other? There it
Tim
is.
says ditto.
Ditto.
This is where we finally see Baltimore for me.
I kind of figured. Come on, logos, work with me. I'm debating on my 5 and 6 right now. It's a toss-up, which is going to make for a great. Well, you'll see in a minute. I'm going Giants at 6.
Oh, so you do see my reasoning.
You're right. I just said it didn't drop them as low as 7. I still think they're better than all the teams that are above them. Well, let me just say this, and the reason why I have it's fun. I have the Giants winning the wild card game over the Dodgers, but as you notice, I haven't put the Dodgers on my list yet. I still think the Giants can win that one game against them because of the fact that they have Jandy Ronson going, and the Dodgers are coming off of an extra inning game where they used one of their best starters. I just think that one game at home bodes well for the Giants. But I think right now, in terms of power rankings, I would put the Dodgers ahead because of the reasons that Brenden said. The Giants struggled the last month of the season. The Dodgers did really well the last month of the season. And so that's why you'll see the Dodgers later on my list once we get up there.
That is fair. I'll defend myself of why I have Baltimore this high. Here's my reasoning behind it.
Because
Yes,
you're trying to
they're
suck up to Brenden.
no, I could care less about his feelings.
Never mind what we just saw 5 minutes ago.
I know. And the Valentine's Day date is off.
Bruh.
But here's the thing. Yes, their pitching staff hasn't been as good as they were last year. Yes, their lineup hasn't been hitting as well. However, being the reigning AL pennant winners means something to me. And I also think that when this team comes into playoff time, they will put their pedal to the metal when it matters. And I think this team has a lot of guys who struggled over the season, but we saw guys get hot at certain times. And I think all that can click for them. And I think this team is a lot better than you guys give it credit for, specifically Brenden. And I think it's better than a lot of people give it credit for.
Okay.
Dope.
So my reason for putting the Phillies this high is because I think I have figured out their secret, and it's defense. Their pitchers do not strike out a lot of guys. They let the ball get into play, but it turns into an out. They do not give up a lot of extra at-bats. They're very efficient, and it's just enough to keep that offense head above water. And they're kind of like the Cleveland of the National League in that their division struggled this year, and they benefited from that. That's why their win total is high, despite the fact that their run differential wasn't as much.
As they say,
I mean,
defense wins championships.
I would agree with you if their FIP wasn't the 10th best in the NL.
I have my theories about fielding independent pitching.
You know what,
in
Tim?
terms of
Hold on. Let me play. You guys remember Key and Peele, the anger translator? Let me translate for Tim. Let me hold on.
Barack Obama anger translator.
Yes. let me translate for Tim real quick. The Phillies passed the eye test.
Fair enough.
I feel like the Phillies are God, I hate saying this. They're a team that plays well as a unit. Like this team is built to complement it. Built to complement all the other parts on it. It's not a great team. It is, however, a very smartly constructed team with what he has.
It is the 2008 Tampa Bay Rays, built on defense and no big superstar at the time, but all coming together in holy matrimony.
Sure.
Think about it.
Let's move on to number 5.
Built on defense and pitching. That's fine. Number 5, who wants to start?
I will. I kind of already hinted at it, but I've got the Dodgers at 5.
Those lawyers.
I have the Giants at 5.
Dodgers.
Gigantes.
Was that Giants?
They had a Los Gigantes shirt this year.
And with that, we all have the same top 4.
Gee, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Are we shocked?
I mean, technically,
Well,
we
we're
have.
nothing if not
Oh, no,
consistent.
never mind. Yeah, it's true.
It's fair. Let's
Or
just move into it
predictable,
because I feel
depending
like
on-
we've talked about the Giants and the
I
Dodgers.
don't think we have anything to add here.
Yeah,
No.
let's move into it. Number 4, Brenden, go first.
Cubs.
Andrew,
Cubs.
Tim,
Cubs.
You gonna be the dissenter, Aiden?
nope, Cubs.
Where's the last Cubs logo? There it is.
I was really hoping someone was going to dissent.
Yeah. I feel like the Cubs are above the other 6, but definitely below the other 3.
It goes like 5 through 10, 4, and then 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
This is the one team for me of the bottom 7 that I would not be as surprised if they won it all.
I mean, which is why
This is
he's
the
there at the top of
champion
the
if it's
7.
not out of the top 3.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. I also feel like this team is built on offense, and how far can offense take you?
Mm-hmm.
I will also argue that I think if the Giants can figure out how to hit in the playoffs, they could be that team that wins out of that group.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to agree. If it's not one of the top 3 teams, it's the Cubs.
Yeah.
Anything else to add? I don't think we need to add anything
No.
else. To
Well,
that.
and I think in their defense has hurt their pitching. Not that
Yes.
the pitching needed any help to struggle, but and that's going to be a factor in a close game.
Fair. Andrew, who's your number 3?
It's the Angels.
Tim?
Angels.
Brennan?
Angels.
I'm going to dissent here, and I'm going to go with the Padres.
Thank you.
Ooh.
At least someone did.
I literally did a last-minute change before we started recording this episode.
Good.
I thought you were about to say you did a last minute change while we were all saying the Angels.
No, I did a last-minute change before we recorded the episode.
All right. Well, okay. Go ahead and explain why.
These top 3 teams for me are interchangeable to an extent.
Yeah.
And for me, at least, I just feel like the other 2 teams are hotter right now going into where they need to be. And I think the Padres are very, very good, just not at the level of the other 2 teams. And I think if you took the Angels or Astros and swapped them with the Padres may not have as good of a record as the other 2 teams do. Literally, it's a coin flip. These top 3 teams are a coin flip for me.
Did you actually do a coin flip?
No.
Well, I do want to point out, in terms of, let's do Heat record over the last month and change of the season. LA 17-13, San Diego 19-11, Houston 21-10.
All right. So why do you have the Angels third? Is it just for that reason?
Wasn't originally, but it boils down to that. Yeah, I think the Angels are the third hottest team of the group.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the Angels, they are just a half step below both of these teams in terms of overall.
Both the Astros and the Padres are extremely well-rounded and well-balanced rosters.
Correct.
The Angels are not.
Yes, that I've been trying to put my finger on it, and it's like I don't. It's not that I don't like the way this team is constructed, because I have one of my own. But yeah, it's just there's something not quite right. I feel like there's a tweak here or there that could really make this team amazing, and they only won 100 games.
Only 100. Only 100.
Only 100. Only 100. So, and it's a great job to get them here, but you know, they're dropping the cylinder every once in a while. So,
All right. Number 2. I'll start this one off. I have the Halos at number 2.
I have the Padres at number 2.
I also have the Padres. I have a feeling we're going to get a 4th Padres logo right now. Whoa!
I put the Padres on the past 2 power rankings of mine at the top. And honestly, they did not give me a reason to move them down from the top.
That's totally fair.
So now, again, it's 1A and 1B for me. And then the Angels are 2. I'm not even calling the Angels 3. I'm calling them 2. So I've been saying the past 2 power rankings I've done, I'm fully expecting an Astros Padres World Series because these are the 2 most balanced teams in the Major League. The Cubs have the most runs scored across the entire league. The Angels, Astros, and Padres are all within 3 runs scored of each other. But the Padres and the Astros are the top 2 teams in terms of least runs allowed. The Astros do have fewer runs allowed, but I think right now the Padres, for some reason, I just like their roster just a little bit better. I don't know what it is. I think that yeah, it really is a gut feeling. I almost put the Astros on top just because of, I think the biggest thing was that the Astros added Seiya at the deadline, and I think that made this decision a lot harder. If they didn't, I think it would have been a lot easier for me to put the Padres at the top. But honestly, if I could, I'd put them both at number 1.
You could probably honestly start filling in the number 1 spot because it's going to be across the board except for you.
Yep.
Like we've been saying, and I don't really think we have to touch on it too much. I think you put it great, Andrew. These teams are 1A, 1B, and you could go either way with these.
mm-hmm.
I'm missing one.
Right next to the Diamondbacks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I saw you struggling. I think it's 1A, 1B. I put Houston above because I think, simple fact, I think Houston had a tougher division than the Padres.
The Padres didn't have the Oakland Athletics in their division.
No, but they did have the Arizona Diamondbacks.
And the Colorado Rockies.
And the
Thank
Giants and the Dodgers.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
Man.
And
I'm right here.
You didn't run them here.
Houston had the Angels and the Mariners.
Okay, but look on these power rankings. Where are the West teams in relation to each other for AL and NL? The NL ones are higher than the Mariners.
My
are at the
spatial
bottom for all
awareness
of ours.
is gone at this hour of the day.
Let me just point out the Mariners are at the bottom of this list for all of us, 9 or 10. Dodgers and Giants are in the middle.
But take the average. They're pretty even.
I mean,
yeah, they're pretty.
On my ranking, like you put them together.
Yes, the top 3 teams of each of the West are about pretty even when you take it on average. But when you look at the bottom 2 teams, the A's drop the AL West down so significantly.
I mean, yeah, but who's the better 4th? Who's got the better 4th team? It's the AL West with the Rangers.
Not by much.
I mean, the roster can sure the team did not have a very disappointing year this year, but the Rangers are a large step above the other 2 teams in the NL.
Okay,
sorry, Tim.
I didn't realize how close the Rockies were to the A's in their
wrong.
record, so I do take that back. The Rockies only were 5 games better than the A's, so I will take that back. They lost 9 out of their last 10.
Diamondbacks weren't too far behind those guys. Ahead of those guys.
No, you had 13 more wins than the A's.
We got mascot.
Yay!
Hello, mascot.
All right, goodbye.
So power rankings.
I think Houston for me up front because I don't see a weakness that anybody can consistently exploit on this team. If they lose it, it will be a drop fly ball in the outfield kind of scenario.
If they lose it, it'll be they beat themselves.
Yeah.
I do retract my statement about the division that the division differences, because I didn't realize how close the Rockies were to the A's. But what I will point out was that the Astros and the Angels did not have as strong competition across the All-American League as the Padres did across the National League. I think the National League as a whole performed better and had better teams across the board than the American League, and the Astros and Angels would have had to play the American League more than the National League. So, just defending my point still. Trying to pull something out of my butt.
That's fair.
But I'm not
At least
wrong.
you didn't go to dollars per war.
Who had the better dollar per war of these two teams?
It'll probably be the Padres because they have a lower budget,
There you go.
which is going to be interesting to see how he's going to pay all these players, because a lot of them are still arbitration pre-arb.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's a couple years away from where the Diamondbacks are.
Franmil Reyes does have a player opt-out after this year, though.
That's
Like,
right.
wait, after the current year that we're in, so
Mhm.
he might be a free agent now?
Yep,
Talk about the top free agent on the market.
if he does, yes.
Yeah. What's his option at? I'm curious. It is... Oh, he would opt out for the... Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to opt out of that. He can make more than 24.6 mil.
Yep.
I believe he's going to opt out.
Me too.
That'll be interesting to watch. What teams are going to be in on that?
Well, if he does, then I think most teams who have
If they have
money,
the
who have
budget.
the money.
Yeah, the teams that have the money. Anyway, back on track here on the actual playoff stuff. I mean, do we have any? Is there anything else we can say? It's pretty much. I'm still curious why Aiden doesn't think the Padres are 1B like the rest of us do. Why are the Angels the 1B team?
I think for me personally, because if I took the Padres and the Angels and swapped them, the Angels would be better than the Padres.
What do you mean by swap them? Like swap divisions?
Yeah, swap divisions.
Also, they would have had a better year in the National League than the Padres had, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I don't agree with that, but that's my opinion.
I get the argument. I don't agree with it, but I get it.
You understand.
I understand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand it.
Your argument makes sense. I just don't agree with that statement. I don't think the Angels would have done better in the National League than the Padres.
I think the talent levels in both leagues are fairly equal. So I don't, But
We're
sure.
pretty well tapped out here on the power.
we're grinding
Wow.
to a halt here. Well,
We're ready for playoff baseball.
We are
Yeah.
definitely ready for playoff baseball. I'm very much
The
ready.
last two games have been, even the Seattle-Boston game, which was over with pretty quickly, it was still riveting, exciting, and it had a really great playoff feel. And Kamish does a really good job of prepping for those. And it just becomes, I'm can't wait for the holiday season to be over so that the real fun can start in my mind.
yeah, we're probably going to get most of that done in the new year.
Yeah, this season.
That's fine.
Long. This season has been very.
There have
It
been a
has
lot.
been.
There have been a lot of delays, a lot of things that happened outside of people's control. Like the whole,
agreed.
the whole manual file thing was a pain in the butt. That delayed us quite a bit.
I'm just saying that this season has been 4 months long.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think it's usually like 3.
A little under.
Yeah.
usually. Like three to a little under.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but things happen, and we just roll with it.
Yep.
Agreed.
And I'm looking forward to this offseason because not only are the divisions going to be changing, we're getting 2 brand new teams. We're going to have an expansion draft. We're going to have playoff expansion. Actually, I'm curious, what would have made it. Like the two tied teams, they would have actually made the playoffs instead of
Yes.
having to play a game 163.
Yep.
So that was easy.
And a
That
new
would've hurt
GM in
you.
Detroit.
That would have hurt me even more.
Oh yeah, because you would have missed
Yes.
out.
No,
by
no,
one game.
I would have made it. I would have made
No,
it. I had a better record than the Indians, didn't I?
no, you.
Oh.
No,
Mhm.
No,
I'm,
because
go-
under the
I'm
new
not. I didn't do it
postseason
based off.
alignment,
Correct. If you're talking about division realignment, I'm just saying if we had this
You have
year,
the same record as the Indians.
so that would have been your game 163. Would have been Indians Rays.
I was talking about if we had the expanded playoffs, not the expansion teams. So I was just talking in
Right.
terms of
Eh.
the still the same division alignment because we didn't have the teams yet. If we had that extra wild card,
That's
team,
okay.
we
What
would
we're
have made
talking
it.
about is the
Right.
format.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair. That is fair. Well, it's going to be an exciting playoff. And you know what? I think the proper way to end this is by saying thank you for all the support across 2022, across the whole eMLB franchise. If we don't record another episode prior to the new year, we appreciate everybody joining us.
No hot seat.
I forgot. You know what? Let's do it. Why not? Brennan, you're
I gotta
starting
come
in
up
the
with
hot
questions though.
Everyone, here's the rules. Everyone asks one question off the top of your head. You answer. Brennan, how many strikeouts does Ethan Knight have game 1?
7.
Tim?
You're tied 6-6 in the 7th inning. Who do you bring in
Ben
as your
Bowden.
reliever?
What playoff team this year will miss the playoffs next year?
Ooh. Frick, I didn't expect to be hung up on this much on the
Okay.
All right. Tim, you're in the hot seat.
All right, let's go.
Who's going to be the biggest unprotected name in the expansion draft?
Oh gosh, I don't even know who would qualify.
Oh, that's
That's a hard.
Trevor
with a-
Bauer. He's great.
Tim, of your of the 5 guys who started the most amount of games for you this year, how many are gone or no longer starters for you next year?
2, possibly 3.
Out of the 8 teams that are going to be in the NL West, where do you see your team finishing next year?
4th.
Ooh, what 2 are you above?
3.
3. Sorry. No, 4.
4. Yeah, 4. Actually, yeah.
What 4 teams will you finish ahead of?
Colorado.
That's easy.
Wow.
And
Hard.
3 other ones.
Gotta remember who's in the division.
I'm not giving anybody any bulletin board material, but yeah,
He's
if I'm
4th.
being honest, I
You
would
figure
say
out the order.
6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Andrew, you're on the hot seat. Brennan, start.
Are you above or below Tim next year?
I'm above Tim. Sorry.
No.
Well, we know one of the 3 is above him.
Andrew, do you make a blockbuster trade again this offseason?
Depends on your definition of blockbuster.
Oh,
That's a
well,
cop-out answer. That's a cop-out answer.
Okay. All right. I am always looking to make a move that will make my team better. If I find that blockbuster move to add in a player like Royce Lewis, if it makes sense, I will do it. I am already looking to make moves, but I don't think they will not fit your definition of blockbuster.
Fair.
What's the biggest strategy move you make next year to increase your offense?
Don't rely so much on catcher defense. Because MJ Melendez was a detriment to my team this year. As evidenced by Ivan Herrera's last half of the season, he was one of the reasons why we stayed in the wild card race up until the very end. Mm-hmm. That was probably my biggest move after the Royce Lewis injury that made a difference for my team.
okay.
All right, here we go. gentlemen.
Now, how long do you hold yourself back from chasing a big deal?
I want to say all off season, but I know that's not realistic. I don't plan on making any big moves. Also know that that's not realistic.
That's a cop-out answer.
But you didn't let me finish.
Just like you didn't let me finish.
But I'm going to say probably won't see anything till the turn of the new year in eMLB.
Okay.
What's the one problem on your team that will keep you from being at the top of the AL East next year?
The bullpen.
Do you finish above or below Brenden next year?
Above. And comfortably.
Ooh.
False.
Ooh.
He's got that bulletin board material already making right now.
Ready? Here. I'll even go as far as to say this. I finish atop the AL East as the only team with more than 100 wins.
Truth be told, there would be a Tampa Bay Rays player on the cover of my season preview magazine. So I could buy that.
So no one from the AL West will have 100 wins, or just you from the AL East?
I'm saying in the AL East, just the AL East.
I mean, not a lot of 100-win teams anyway, so.
I know. With that one right there, I'm just kind of like,
We can always talk before the season, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The preseason power rankings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now I've got to go figure out how the hell I'm going to get in fourth place.
Yeah, you do.
Hey,
Brenden,
Tim, we talking blockbuster trade, right?
We're talking a lot of addition by subtraction.
I
don't think it was any fault of Aaron's. I just think the changes in 23. I see a lot of teams that were significantly different. Their makeup worked in 22 in OOTP 22, and it doesn't in 23. It happened way too much in this league for that not to be a factor. And I'm not using it as an excuse because we were bad, but it didn't help.
Do you think we'll see that same kind of impact when 24 comes out?
I think so, only because of the shift. If we decide as a league, because I feel like, and I mean, Marcus doesn't return my phone calls, but to me, I think you have to make the shift an option. If this is a game that's going to play historical baseball, you have to make it an option. Yes, no. And then I'm hoping that's something we would vote on as a league.
Oh, I'm sure we would.
Real quick. Brenden, pro or against shift?
Pro.
Andrew?
Pro, but I used to be extreme pro for the shift, but I've been brought back more towards the center recently after the rule is being put into place for next real life MLB season.
Tim?
Pro.
I'm still extreme pro. I hate that they're doing it.
I'm pro, but not as extreme. I'm very close to neutral, seeing as how I got to see an entire season of what it looked like without the shift in the minor leagues last year, working in the Florida State League. I got to see what it looked like firsthand, both without the shift and then with the weird pie slice that you couldn't pass 90 degrees of second base.
I'm glad they didn't decide to do that one.
Yeah, we started calling it.
Shit.
We called it the pie slice, the zone of death, and the no-fly zone, the neutral zone infraction. There were so many names that were floated around.
Easy one, baseball term, no man's land.
Yeah.
I don't hate the rule that they came up with eventually. And I do think we're going to see a lot of crazy things. I've seen things about people talking about when facing lefty pull hitters, moving your shortstop to second base and swapping your shortstop and second baseman so you have your rangier defender on the pull side. I've seen things about like basically shifting the center field to the left, shifting, making the right fielder stay where he is, and then bringing the left fielder to play that deep second base that normally you do against extreme pull hitters. I think that there's going to be a lot of different creative things that you see managers do to get around it.
I think we're going to see
I'm curious about that now.
I think we're going to see basically unintentional using the center fielder or your left or right fielder, depending on however they want to shift it, as the men's softball version of a rover.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of that.
And I think the shift at the end of the day matters just as much as sliders do in OOTP. I don't think it's not going to make a bad team good or a good team great. It's good for situational.
But it will nudge things a certain way.
Right.
Correct.
You know what I wish, however? I wish when I'm managing a game, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, but and you can tell me if there is, but at least in our game of the days, I cannot say, hey, there's a guy who, yes, it says he's an extreme pull hitter, but, he's gone the other way on me twice this game. I don't want to shift.
Yeah, actually.
Oh, yeah, you can change it in the game.
You can do it, but we don't do it for game of the night because it would ask for, you would have to do that for every single batter. You would have to set your.
It'd be 5 hours a night to have.
You actually have to do it for every single pitch.
Oh yeah, that's
if it was every single batter, I think Commish would allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's every single pitch, every second.
Yeah, that's
because when I play games, sometimes I forget, and it always burns me. So.
I understand. I was just saying, in our current format that we play on Game of the Night.
I wish it was I wish it was on an at-bat basis, because then we would just, I think we'd be okay with it.
Well, I wish it was the kind of thing where it was less slider driven and more matchup driven.
I think it is matchup driven, but it's the slider influences how often you care about that matchup.
Right. And it's
like if you have a medium high, maybe you don't shift as much when there's runners on. If you have extreme high, even it doesn't matter if there's runners on, you're still shifting to the max, right? I think that's how it works.
Right.
I have my slider turned up pretty high for a shift.
Well, gentlemen, I think this was a successful episode, a nice and long one. We'd like to give a special shout out again to everyone for watching us in this year of 2022. It's been a fun year. We've got some amazing content that will continue to roll out through the end of this year and the beginning of next year, as well as some amazing content, including expansion for next year.
Shout out to JR, who was unable to join us tonight.
Real quick. The broadcast buddies, we can all get rings. We can put them up like this, and if we put them all together, we'll get JR.
Oh, I'm here for that. I think that.
Yeah, and there he goes.
It never gets old. It never gets old.
Of course, JR does the.
Yeah. He's so much better at it.
Oh, man.
I love it.
It's not as funny when we're all doing it, though, Aiden.
I know. Well, this has been another great episode. JR, we miss you. Thank you to all of you all for listening. Thank you to Commish for having us here. If you want more information on the league, playoff results, anything like that, check out the Discord down below. Make sure to also check out the Twitch channel. If you're only watching us on YouTube, you're only getting about 5 to 10% of the action. Adding in the Twitch, you get about 25%. The Discord is where 75% of the hard work comes into play. There are a lot of fun, spirited debates in there where everyone's kind and nice to each other. But with that being said,
that was horrible math. You said 10% us, 5 to 10% us, 25% Twitch, and then 75% Discord.
You're right. I said if you add the Twitch on top of the YouTube, you get to 25% of the story.
I don't think you said that. But
I did indeed.
It's better than toilet paper math, though.
It's better than toilet paper. It's also better than adding. Hold on.
Or
it's
arbitration.
Also
this sounds just like the Discord.
It's also better than war math. War versus money math.
Oh, absolutely.
Well played. Well, this has been a fun episode.
That's what you're looking for.
Awards coming up soon. We thank you all for listening. Tim, welcome officially to the group. Brennan, it's been a pleasure having you. Andrew, have fun editing this. We'll see y'all next time. Have a good one.
You know, if you guys can't stomach broadcast buddies, we can just be podcast pals.
And thanks for hanging out for the director's cut episodes of all of these. This has been fun.
Let's
Well,
ride.
it looks. I was just about to get into it.
Oh, that's gotta be a
God
clip.
Damn it.
I was wondering if Brenden was going to do something.
I almost did it a little too early, and then he pulled back, and I'm like, oh no, save it. Wait till he opens his mouth. All right, let's go.
Well played, sir.
Well played. Whew.